Hello, my name is Maxim Kavka and welcome to this video overview of my latest Microsoft Excel VBA project, Breaker.io. This has been a project of passion I developed mostly in my own time whilst working in the motorcycle breakers industry that brought together two of my biggest passions of motorcycling and computer geekery. The project goals were to automate tedious and repetitive aspects of cataloging and selling used motorcycle parts, to make the process much less prone to user errors, and to sharpen my Excel skills by developing fully featured multi-user database-driven application using only Excel. And even with a minimum viable product version 1.0 I'm about to demonstrate, I believe I succeeded on all counts. So, without further ado, let's jump in. One of my main development goals was to ensure that the user never interacts with any of the workbooks directly. All data operations are validated and processed via Excel Userforms, and here we kick things off with the main data entry form. This is the bread and butter of the entire project and the part that soaked up most of the total development time. So here I will create a new job and enter a couple of records whilst describing some of the features. This form is divided into following four sections: part information that is always the same and is data based on entry, metadata consisting of variables such as part condition and pricing, motorbike information that's also database with every new entry, and the control section. There is also a currently hidden fifth section that is pretty awesome and you should definitely stay tuned for. The form features a lot of data validation. If the user enters unexpected data or a piece of required data is missing, the offended fields will be highlighted in red and there will be no option to mark the record as complete until all errors are rectified, although everything will still be saved temporarily so the job can be closed to be completed at a later time. Throughout the listing process, all fields and controls are enabled or disabled dynamically based on a completion of prerequisite fields or selected category requirements. So for example, if the item being listed is under indicators category, indicator light type field consisting of halogen or LED options will become unlocked and added to the list of requirements for this record. Now I will skip forward to where I've added a bunch more records for us to play with so we can take a look at the control section. We navigate the job by clicking on the relevant entries in a navigation list box or by entering the item number in the SKU field. Like some of the others, the SKU field is semi-intelligent. It can differentiate between item number, job number or complete SKU and process those requests accordingly. At various stages of the process, some items can be deemed unsellable and are discarded, and some items are lost. These can be marked as such with the click of a button, where record will be retained but largely ignored by the rest of the application unless relisted. There is no option to delete a record as all actions are recorded and archived along with usernames and dates, a feature that will help generate more accurate employee performance statistics as well as aid with investigations of theft or other misconduct. Missing and discarded items coupled with the records that have been completed could make for a very long list on even an average size breaker jobs, so I got a little bit creative with this list box by adding category tabs. These are simply framed option controls that repopulate the list only with the records of their respective categories, as well as changing the list box background color to make the users more aware of which tab is currently active. At any stage of the process, the user can close the application or switch to another job with no further actions required, as frequent saves and backups are performed automatically in the background. Now to demonstrate some of the database capabilities, we'll create a new job and assume we're processing another 2006 Honda Hornet motorcycle like the one we did earlier. As we already have this model on record, the model name is added to the combo box list and appears as predictive text. Once the make, model and model year data is entered, the application checks if this combination is on record and, as is the case here, pulls the remaining details from database so we can jump straight into listing. As this is the same motorcycle model we have stripped earlier, we are very likely to be processing the same parts, so let's enter one of the part numbers we had previously listed and see what happens. As you can see here, the application finds the part number in database and auto-completes the information section for us. All that's left now is to enter some metadata and the listing will be complete. But there is even a more convenient way of doing this that segues us nicely into the aforementioned hidden fifth section of this awesome little form, the associated parts list. Every time a record is completed, the application creates an association between the current motorcycle and the part data if one doesn't already exist in somewhat of a relational database style. All we have to do to access this data is to click View Parts button in the motorcycle details section, and here you can see all the parts we've played with in the previous example. From here we select the parts that we want to add to the current job and the part information will be loaded automatically. Now let's take a brief look at each of the other features, starting with the imaging section. With the industry emphasis on quantity over quality, it takes about 2 to 3 minutes to generate a dozen or so images for each item processed. The problem that I have well and truly solved here was that you then have to spend about twice that time on copy-pasting, directory management and general administration of getting the images on record. With Breaker.io, that time is reduced to 0. After a brief error handling demonstration, here you will see that all that is required now is to scan the item barcode, take the required amount of images, then scan the next barcode. That is it. Each time the new item is scanned, the software creates a job/item image directory for the previous item, moves the new images from camera tethering folder to this new directory, renames the new images and updates the item record with the new image names and locations. Same quality of life time saving feature can be seen here with the shelving app. Scan the item barcode, scan the shelf you put it on, rinse, repeat. At least 30% productivity boost over the methods that I have witnessed. Now with all this talk about scanning barcodes, let's take a look at how we actually print them. And you guessed it, here we have yet another easy, convenient and user-friendly interface. Enter the job number you want to print, select one or more items or click select all, select output type. A4 will generate a standard 3x8 layout, whilst Dymo will send the selection directly to your label printer. Job done. Now that we've done all that hard work and completed our listing, let's take a look at how we turn all that data goodness into something useful by exporting it. In its current state, the export feature simply combs over all active jobs, selects items that are ready for export, as in items that are listed, imaged and shelved but have not yet been exported, adds them to a daily CSV export, showing us the resulting file on completion. Currently is just a plain CSV, but the output can be easily tailored to any file format supported by Microsoft Office Suite with any column configuration of available data. Now let's take a look at the completed job sheet. All this information was generated without a single user spending a single second looking at a single Excel spreadsheet. And more importantly, without copy-pasting a single thing. How beautiful is that? The application runs on about 3,000 lines of VBA, a lot of which is dedicated to multiple redundancies for stability and performance. But even an average Excel user can make changes without looking at a single line of code, as a lot of the variables are stored in these easy-to-use configuration tables. And on that note, I will conclude this presentation of Breaker.io. There are a bunch of features I have not demonstrated here in efforts of keeping this video to under 10 minutes long. As mentioned at the beginning, this is just a version 1, prototype of sorts. Version 2 will be a complete product I intend on marketing that will feature either a backend rewrite to work with SQL instead of Excel, or even a complete rebuild to a web-based version with PHP, SQL and JavaScript. In either case featuring interactive statistics dashboards, shipping management, APIs for pushing data directly to retail sites such as eBay, and a lot more besides. My availability for project work or training can be found in the description section of this video. Thanks for watching, all the best.